pelicans. And a big one there. He's a huge fella. I met a local just a little while ago who was very interested in this part of Deception Bay and the history. And he's told me about some things that are underneath the sea, but when the tide is out, are visible. So I'll have to come back here when the tide has gone out. It's still coming in. For instance, this, can you see that circle there? And another circle there. But anyway, I'll come back when the water has receded and uncovered all of this, and we'll discuss it more then. Okay, the sea has gone right down. Now, this man, he was a local historian, and he saw me reading the plaques, the historical plaques on the esplanade, and he was very pleased because he explained that he had helped to write those. And I said I always like to know the history of a place, so he brought me here. I said, I'll show you something then if you like the history of a place. Now look what he showed me. Nobody knows who made these things. First of all, let's look at this. Can you see the turtle here? See the flippers? See the tail? Here's the head with eyes and a mouth. This is sandstone. Now, do you see here the outline of a serpent or a large sea creature? Is it my fancy, or can I see a similarity to a stingray with a very, very long tail? The head, the body with the side flappers, and then the tail. These circles, he told me what they were, and it was a scientific name, and I'm afraid I can't remember. But there are dozens and dozens of these circles around. So, nobody seems to know about these turtles and serpents and what have you. The local museum had them looked at and said that they're at least 10,000 years old. The historian friend who told me about this Googled them, and there's nothing in Google. It doesn't come up. It's not mentioned on the internet, this site. So is this an ancient Aboriginal site? Did they carve these? And or are they fossils? Because it is known that 10,000 years ago there were very large turtles, and there were very large sea creatures that could easily get beached. These things, this is my friend's theory, which are also in sandstone. He calls, for want of a better word, the turtle's eggs. See the footprint? Huge, isn't it? Of course, if it was made in the mud would spread. But the thing is, whose footprint? There's no toes, so it's not a human footprint. If it's only 10,000 years old, it's not a dinosaur footprint. Have a look at these. G'day. Good. Fossilized like wildlife. the other mystery is apparently these lines, which as you can see just sort of spread right off into the medium distance there. What caused them? If the turtle was an aboriginal carving, as those young guys I was just talking to think, and some other people think, then wouldn't everything here be a carving? Why would aboriginals 10,000 years ago have carved these lines? Are they naturally forming? Sandstone is a soft stone, it erodes easily. Could the tide coming in and out have formed this? Or is this an ancient track of some large animal? The tail, say, dragging on the ground. A Tyrannosaurus rex. The only problem with T-Rex is that it lived millions of years ago and not 10,000 years ago. Now where those dogs are, I'm going to go there next because that's also historical. Now you see all these circles. I just wish I could remember what name he calls them. But there's loads of them. And this area is not known. People don't know it. Scientists don't know it. Or if they do, very few do, and it's certainly not being presented as a tourist attraction, which is probably lucky because it's sandstone and lots of feet walking over here would soon erode it down. It erodes enough as it is. Okay, now this is a man-made baths back in the 1800s and somethings. This was about 6 foot deeper than it is now. It's been filled with mud. And there is a photograph of it when it was built. And here, where the post holes are, there was a shelter built. Post hole there, post hole there, post hole there. So there was a shelter built here with steps leading down into those baths which went 6 foot deep. I'll go back on the esplanade and see if I can find the photo. So anyway, that's this area. Interesting, isn't it? Not very well known at all, but a rare piece of history. I'm so glad I got into conversation with that guy. So here it is. That's a photo of it. A Bancroft bath during the 1800s. During the 1800s, saltwater bathing was thought to be a cure for many illnesses. The small pool cut into the sandstone, its sides made from bricks, and a single-roofed timber shelter next to it, which is that. The incoming tide would fill it up, and as the tide receded, the pool would remain full. The bath remains a striking man-made imposition alongside the strange shapes on the sandstone rock surface. Continue along the path to the boat ramp, which leads down onto the rock platform, and you can see these features at low tide. While I was here yesterday, those young lads I saw told me they were locals. They've been coming here since they were children, and they told me about some more carvings or marks through there and then up through the shore. So now we're going to have a look at that. They said to expect to get muddy, so I've actually brought shoes which I can take off, and I brought this bag to put the camera in to keep it clean and to put the shoes in. Come on, dogs. First we have to go through that gap in the mangroves. They are strange shapes, aren't they? They don't appear to resemble an animal or animals, these here. I thought that straight lines didn't happen in nature. It's close to being a full moon, even in daylight. See, these look like they're in the mud. They look like if I trod on them, they'd squish down. But they don't. It's sandstone. Very hard. Well, as hard as sandstone is. Straight lines. Looks like a tail's been dragged in it, when it was in mud, and is now dry to sandstone. Or it's been carved, or it's totally natural. A rudimentary man, perhaps, with a body, almost like stickmen. So spacemen did come here 10,000 years ago. There's the helmet. More of these circles. And that one's had, looks like it's had mud dumped in it, but once again it's not mud, it's sandstone that, well, it's hardened, whatever it was, into stone. But it does look like the circle was there first, then that stuff was dumped in it, and then that stuff became stone. Could this be the outline of some large fish? I guess when you're at a site like this, your imagination goes into overdrive. Perhaps I'm seeing outlines where outlines simply don't exist. These are fairly well eroded, and it's hard to see if they ever might have been anything, or if they're just erosion marks. At high tide, this tree is well under. I'm talking about it being totally submerged. And you can tell the speed at which the tide comes in, the current, by the way the tree is bent over. It comes in faster than it goes out by the looks of it. This mud is fairly slippery, especially on the rocks. And the good thing about owning several pairs of stout walking shoes with good soles is that I can pick the oldest pair to wear at times like these.